but that is what's up. Yo, man, on this channel, bro, what I like to do, man, is that, we want to provide as much value for musicians, keyboard players, music directors, anything related to musicians, right? And one of the things that I like to talk about in general is money. You know me, I
Mm.
do finances as well. And on this topic of finances and all that, one of the things I want to do is provide value to musicians in regards to money, in terms of how to make money, how to go about the business side. So I want to jump into a little bit of that. One of the questions that I have for you, bro, is how do you start making money with as a live musician, as a live performer? How did that go about?
Well, I started basically needing money in college. Like when I got to college, at Oakwood College, in Huntsville, Alabama, I had no money, and I just went to a service one day, and they needed someone to play, and I played, and then they were like, "Hey, do you want to get on keys for the duration?" And that's how I kind of stepped in, kind of got my feet wet a little bit. Then when I came back home from college, I had a friend. His name is Kirk Blackwood. He's an amazing guy. He also plays keyboard, and he's looked out for me like as a big brother. Like we always need those big brothers, big sisters, like to look out for us.
100%.
So he looked out and he found me a job playing at another church, and then he found me another job playing at a second church during the summer. So what I was doing, unbeknownst to me, was I was getting my name out there, even and making money at the same time. And that's I think that's one of the things that I think that's one of the things that people don't necessarily look at or realize. Like you are making a name for yourself, and you are putting it by putting yourself out there. You know, provided that the places that you work at, when you leave them on good terms, and you burn no bridges. You'll be fine.
I had to drop a couple of gunshots in there, bro, because you dropping, you dropping knowledge, bro.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
What is that, bro? I was like, what is that? And I was like, oh, it's a gunshot. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You got, when you drop in Hard Valley, bro, we gotta, you know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
I know I'm probably catching you off guard with that.
Nah, that first gunshot, I was like, Will, what is that?
So you said something important that it's key, I think, for every musician, right? And very similar to what you're saying. I'll probably say, I'll go ahead and just say a lot of musicians got their start like that, right? I have a very similar experience to that. You touched on you said something along the lines of you're making a name for yourself, even like when you start working with churches or something. Like, can you touch on that a little bit?
Okay, so what happens is, well, at least in my experience, I never played at one location only. I've played at several different locations. So I've played at Kojic churches, I've played at apostolic churches, Pentecostal churches, I've played at Baptist churches, I've played at AME churches.
Mm.
So it's like I have this myriad of like experience throughout some of the denominations, and then also the Seventh-day Adventist Church. So when you start appearing in different denominations and you start playing different styles of church, because there are different ways that churches perform liturgy and things of that nature.
Yeah, yeah,
There's a myriad of ways. You know what I'm saying? So when you start to when you start to break through those barriers and you start to you know permeate through other levels and go to
yeah.
other forms of I guess you could say
Worship.
denominations,
Yeah.
yeah, forms of worship. Then it's like, okay, you're starting to make a name for yourself because more people know you because you're not just in your own corner.
Mm.
And this was before the advent of the internet. You know what I mean? Or when the internet was burgeoning and like blossoming. Like it was not blossoming back in 2005. You know what I mean?
Facts.
We didn't have when I say internet, I mean social media.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's kind of like, yeah, people know who people were, but you did still need to put yourself out there, because if you didn't, then it would be to your detriment if you didn't. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're talking
And you
about
had
like
to
more.
make sure that you crush it, crush the gig,
Yeah,
whatever it
yeah,
is.
yeah. Like from like today it's a little bit I wouldn't say easier, but the marketing is like you go do one gig, you like someone catches footage of you or you catch footage of yourself, you put it out, and then like the possibilities are so much, right? Because that one video can go viral, let's say, or that one video within a specific community of musicians or people or even churches, they can all come across that, be like, yo, who's that? And then trace you down, right? Whereas
Yeah,
back then, they didn't really have that.
they didn't
So,
have it.
yeah,
They didn't
yeah.
have
But there was still like that aspect of being able to perform live and play at a church service and still because of the musicians that were there playing with you or maybe someone was in that service, then word got out. So I feel
Mhm.
like back then it was just like you always had to constantly be on top of your game, but always as well as performing or and playing at whatever church service or whatever invitation you got, just to kind of get your name out there. Which I still
Yeah,
recommend people to do, but I think the social media aspect has added another level of it's just like the icing on the cake, right? Like now because that you might be able to get more work because you're more visible. You might be
mm,
everywhere now because of the video. I love
mm.
that. So what I'm getting out of that is, if you're starting out, right, as a musician and you want to start making money, would you recommend people to take on as many gigs as they can, whether it be in a church or in a or whatever offers come in their way, just to kind of get the experience? Because you talked about something about like getting your feet wet, and in so doing, that other people will get to know you. Like, do you recommend, or what do you recommend musicians these days, to start getting their feet wet with the business and all that?
Okay, so I would say this is how I would just say try to get under someone that can mentor you and show you like the ways of performance and playing and also the ways of business and knowing how to negotiate your prices and things of that nature,
Hmm.
contracts. That's the first thing. I know that's kind of hard. That's still kind of difficult because everybody's in flux, everybody's moving around. You can be on social media and follow an influencer who does really great music, and then you follow him, and then you get his advice instead of tapping into people that are around you, like in person. But I would say, first of all, try to tap into someone who can be a mentor,
Mm.
um, because that's like, and that's like really important. Number two, sow beside all waters.
Say that again.
And sow beside all waters. That
Okay.
means like don't stay in one place. Like I
Ooh.
think one of the things that I could improve on is I could put myself out in more waters instead of just being on the church side or the quartet side. I have another water like called Anomalous Day that's not really necessarily church, but they're inspirational and they're Christian.
Okay. So they're
So
like a
it's
little
not
bit more
something that it's
contemporary.
yeah, you're not going to see that in a Kojic church, but you're going to see that at a Young Life camp. You're going to
Mm.
see that at a CCM youth night. You know what I mean? So I've been sowing beside that water, and that's been yielding some results. Also, if you're a musician and you like to play weddings, sow beside those waters as well.
Yeah.
If you like to play live music, find a live venue in your city or in your town that you really like to perform, that you really like to go to and hear people perform, and try to get in there. Like that's what I mean by sow beside all waters. Don't just be a church musician or don't just be a road musician. Like if you want to tour, and I mean I don't have anything against touring musicians, but what happens when the pandemic hits and all the tours dry up? You know what I mean? What happens like and I saw that and we all saw that during the pandemic. A lot of the people that never really were church musicians were coming back to those churches like, can I get a job? You know what I mean? So it does make sense to sow beside all waters. I think the church route to me is one of the safest routes to sow beside because
Mm.
people are always going to want to go to church, you
One hundred
know.
percent.
And if you're in New York, you're always going to have a church gig if you're good enough. You know what I mean? Because New York is the place where there's mad churches. So you're not going to be sitting at home as a church musician not being hired. They will hire you. You just have to go to the right one. You just have to know the right one and go to the right one. I would say that sow beside all waters. I would also say try to learn some ancillary skills like Ableton.